My experience with the Donkey Kong Country games is rather sparse. I remember playing the games on and off on the SNES at my babysitter's house back in kindergarten. The games themselves were fun from what I remember, but also very, very hard in the later levels. I remember how hard the roller coaster level was in 2, and getting very far into 1's final boss fight against King K. Rool, but always dying at the cannonball part. Now, over 20 years later, I came across this new game which is touted to be the spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Country called Kaze and the Wild Masks, thanks to the review by the underrated Benjamage. Eventually the game went on super sale, so I picked it up and played through it for review. Developed by Pixel Hive and published by Sedesco, Kaze and the Wild Mask was released in March of 2021. So what does a non-DK nostalgic gamer think of this proclaimed spiritual successor? Well, let's find out. The story centers around a rabbit named Kaze. While exploring an ancient tomb, Kaze and her friend Hogo come across an ancient circlet. As you'd expect, touching the object causes a catastrophic event where Hogo's soul is sucked into the artifact and an ancient evil is awakened. Fortunately, Hogo's spirit protects Kaze for her to escape the temple and land safely back to Earth. Now with an army of evil vegetables running amok, it's up to Kaze, equipped with the circlet imbued with her friend's spirit, to take down the evil entity and potentially free her friend. The story takes a very minimalistic approach with a handful of motion art cutscenes and environmental storytelling. That said, what story bits we do get combined with the stellar soundtrack does an impressive job of conveying the emotions with the limited time it's given. Even so, the gameplay is what's given the focus, and this is what Kaze really excels at. As you can see, Kaze is a pixelated 2D platformer. Your goal is to traverse each level left to right while defeating enemies and collecting gems along the way. There are a total of 35 levels to play through, separated into 4 different worlds. 4 of which are boss levels at the end of each world, and another 4 are bonus levels which are unlocked by acquiring a specific collectible in each level of each world. But what really stands out about Kaze is how it blatantly wears its Donkey Kong Country inspiration on its sleeve. Kaze can jump and use the action button to use your ears to float down, much like Dixie Kong. And like Dixie, Kaze can perform a spin attack to take out some enemies on the ground. She can also carry and throw jars by holding the action button. But unlike Donkey Kong Country, Kaze is the only playable character. If you get hit by an enemy or a level hazard, Kaze will die and reset you to the previous checkpoint. However, if you acquire a heart in the level, Hobo will appear by her side and act as an extra hit point. One last ability Kaze has is using a ground slam by holding down on the control stick and using the action button. Overall, Kaze controls very well, as you should be able to in a platformer game. Throughout the levels, you will come across a variety of collectibles. The most prevalent are gems. Your goal is to collect 100 of these to earn a completion gem for the level. But a nice thing about this is that there are more than 100 gems per level, which means you can miss 1 or 2 of them and still get over 100 if you're vigilant. When all 31 gems are collected, you unlock the true ending for the game after beating the final level. Furthermore, if Hobo is still around and you collect a heart, you gain a bonus 5 gems to make the journey to 100 easier. There are also 4 coins that spell Kaze, but unlike the Kong coins that give you an extra life, collecting all the coins in a level unlocks one of the pieces of a mural in the album menu, which provides the backstory for the main villain and the world the game takes place in. The last collectibles are the emeralds. In each level there are 2 secret portals that transfer you to a bonus stage where you complete a challenge to earn 1/2 of an emerald. Once both halves are collected for each level, a bonus challenge level will unlock for each world where you must traverse much harder levels to collect 100 gems to add to the gem completion portion. And what's great about this system is that once you complete a level, you can replay it to collect the coins and emeralds you missed and exit out of the level midway and still have it count towards completion. The enemies you come across in these levels are varied and meticulously placed. Some are basic ones who can be defeated by jumping on or spin attacking them. Others have unique gimmicks and can only be killed a certain way, while others are completely invulnerable, like the floating urchins, which are clearly an homage to the bees from Donkey Kong Country. But what's great about the enemies is how key they are for traversal. For example, banana rockets are used for jumping up to out-of-reach platforms for progressing the level or finding secrets. And this ties into the strongest aspect of Kaze, the level design. Each level has a theme like forests, mountains, beaches, deserts, lava, toxic dumps, and many others. Most are simple traversals from left to right and have themes ranging from tightropes, scales, updrafts, and ice. Others have level-altering gimmicks like pursuing tornadoes, a rising acid pool, large invincible enemies, and red light green light switches, clearly inspired by Donkey Kong Country's Stop and Go station. But where Kaze earns its namesake is the 4 masks. During some levels, you'll gain one of 4 masks that give Kaze unique powers. The Hawk mask allows Kaze to fly and fire energy projectiles. The Tiger mask allows you to dash and cling to walls, allowing you to jump up them. The Shark mask allows you to swim underwater and dash in it. And the Dragon mask causes you to become a living Donkey Kong minecart with the ability to double jump and slam downwards. And when you put the level design, the themes, the gimmicks, the enemies, and the masks together, what results is a challenging but also very satisfying gameplay loop. The first few levels are rather simple, allowing you to get used to the controls to get a feel of how the game is set up. But each level onwards introduces more mechanics and the levels become much more intricate. I will admit, I died many times in these levels. But even though there's only one checkpoint at the midpoint of each level, as well as the shrine you acquire a mask from, the near instant load times alleviated most of the frustration to allow me to persist to learn the correct way to traverse the levels until I acquired all the collectibles from them. And that goes the same for the boss fights. Each of them has their unique gimmicks you catch onto very quickly, and the challenge to defeat them all in one go is grueling but fair, especially the final boss. It took me dozens and dozens of attempts, but through determination I got through it, and by golly was it a satisfying victory. As far as presentation goes, Kaze is a beautifully pixelated title. Each NPC has vivid expressions, Kaze herself expresses great determination, and the bosses have their maniacal nature on full display as the fight progresses. The environments are bursting with color and atmosphere, accompanied by a stellar soundtrack that gives the appropriate feelings for the theme of each level. And the music during the motion art cutscenes really amplified the emotions. As for performance, I can't say I encountered a single bug. So overall, Kaze is a very satisfying experience. The game took me around 8 hours to finish when you add in all the collectibles I went back to get and how many times I died in the later levels. And for the $5 I paid, it was money well spent, and I believe $20 is more than a fair deal if you're not patient enough for a big sale. What's more, this is one of the games I was more than willing to complete. Well, actually, Finipede technically, because I didn't bother trying to get all the perfect no damage runs, participate in the time trials, or get all the achievements. Still, the 100% on the save selection screen is enough for me. But this got me thinking, why hasn't this game gotten more attention? You'd think the 10 buffs like Gerard would be all over this kind of thing. I mean, he's done episodes for his favorite game's spiritual successors in the past. Well, I hope I did my part to promote this game no matter how small it might end up being in the end. So if you're up for a straightforward homage to classic linear platformers with the challenge on the level of, say, Hotline Miami meets Ori and the Blind Forest, I fully recommend this game. With that said, Kaze and the Wild Masks gets my rating of Indie Treasure. So have you played Kaze yourself? If so, what do you think of it, or are there other games you believe fell under the radar and should be given more attention? Feel free to leave your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.